The more we do this show, the bigger my forehead is getting. Right there. Okay. Okay. I can't hear you.
Talking during the intro. What are you doing?
I couldn't. The intro cut out.
Not on my end, it didn't.
My end, it did.
Really?
Yeah, it was all weird. I was scared for a moment. My forehead got a little bigger during the intro. It was crazy.
I look like I'm getting a tan here compared to your blue light. Let me see if I can switch mine up here. Let me see. What other options? There we go. It's a little more daylighty, right?
Should I change mine too?
No.
No, that look good.
Well, maybe I don't know. I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah,
we look okay.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. A week late. Normally we're the last Wednesday of each month, but last week we had a playoff game, so the Honey Badgers took a little precedence over Metal last week. But we won the first game, we won the Wednesday game, but we lost on Friday. So
boo!
No. But we're almost done. We're baseball's over. It's coming up to the end, and now going to football. So it's always something.
So we went, I know it sucks that everybody missed the last Wednesday of July, but this month we get two. We get first Wednesday and last Wednesday.
Hell yeah. It's going to be great.
Yep. All right. You want to get to the...
Let's get all to the particulars. Tonight's show on the Johnny Beane TV is brought to you by the executive producers. We have the following to thank. We got me and Chuck Green, Stephen Franklin, Joe Christian, Michael B., Thomas Santiago, Music Therapy Laz, Straight Tom, The Chad, James Gum, Jarhead Rock, Wayno, The Captain, Michael Smith,
My Captain, yeah.
Andy Carson, Johnny Moronic, Jimmy Ray Hawkins, Mike Neese, Ahabs, Lenny Lou and Mary, False Flag, Steve
Carmichael. Did I just break the show?
There we go.
Become a channel member. Click the join button. Where is the join button? Where is it, Brian?
Oh, the join button. It's somewhere. It's in the chat. You go to YouTube. You can click on the show. There's a subscribe button, and if you want to chat, you have to become a channel member. Because if you're not, and you want to tell Jay,
is that entirely true?
It is, right, Johnny?
No, you have to subscribe. You don't have to join.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Yes, you have to subscribe.
My apologies. Yeah, as long as you're a subscriber to the channel, you can participate in the chat.
There you go.
So if you want to talk about Jay and his pointiness, and you're not a channel member or a subscriber, you can't.
Tough poops.
Tough poops. Johnny Beane TV is on Bookface. Link is in the chat. Leave a review. Check it out, everybody.
And Facebook stars. I really don't understand what they do, but send Johnny some stars, and he'll say thank you. And change the color of Johnny's lights that aren't going to change tonight because he's not there, but that's okay. He'll thank you anyway. And we got listen to Johnny. The Johnny Beane. I'm terrible at this, man. Thank God I don't have my own show. God. Go ahead. Take it over.
All right, I got you. Also, Johnny Beane is a podcast. So if you chat with Siri, Siri's tight with Johnny. So if you talk to Siri about Johnny Beane, you'll be able to listen to the podcast via Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, Brazzer, SoundCloud. Please subscribe, everyone.
Ooh. That would be something else, huh? Oh, that's right. We do have a new show on Johnny Beane TV called the Sunday Night String Change Show. About midnight Eastern. I guess I have to be a part of this every week now, I'm assuming. But yeah, last week we had some guests on. Michael B. We had Music Therapy Laz. And it was a pretty cool time. Week before that, I changed the strings on my Frankie. Johnny changed the strings on his Pacer, his Kramer Pacer 1000, I believe it was. And yeah, it's a good time. So if anybody wants to join that, sign up because the list's getting long. There you go.
When you change the strings on your Frankie, what did you put on there?
10s, 10 to 46, because I have it E flat. So,
gotcha.
Yep.
Good man. What are you gonna change another guitar?
Yeah, depending on if we have any guests joining, I'll probably do the strings on this guitar need to be changed bad, real bad.
When was the last time you changed those?
Oh God, I don't even know. But I mean, it's bad when like the 3 unwound strings are black. That's when you know it's time to change it.
It's time. What are you gonna put on those?
9 to 56.
9 to 56.
Yep. Standard tuning, of course.
Nice 7-string, and I put 56s on my 6 strings. That's how I roll.
But you drop those things, man.
I drop them like panties.
It's
you got real far.
Yep.
So what's going on, everybody? Thank you for tuning in, and I apologize again for the forehead game. It's getting larger and taking over the screen, so I'm gonna step back a little bit. But I like the shirt, Jay. Where'd you get that?
Oh, Fruitcake Tony. Thanks, Fruitcake Tony. I hope you're watching.
I like it.
Yep. I think it's Sunday nights, Halenville.
Looks good.
So
brings out your
thanks. Way to go.
Brings out your traps. It looks good.
Yeah, my lack thereof. Brings out my moobs.
I like it.
Yeah.
So before we get into everything, I wanted to show everybody in the chat, and I didn't do this last time, and I apologize. So we have Decibel Magazine, and then in Decibel.
Which month is that?
This is the month of May. Is it? Yes, month of May. Oh, Jan.
Whoa.
Jesus. And then we have these clowns.
Oh, wow.
In there. And I have a few, and I got to send them to you, and I just haven't because I have a million other things going on, but I'm going to. So everyone check this out. Got a little band called Gizmochi in there promoting Omega Collide, which is a fantastic album, one of the best albums of the year, I have to say. I'm going
to agree with that.
I'm not saying that just because I'm in it, but I'm saying it because it's really awesome. So.
That's right. And I guess that maybe the first thing we should talk about tonight, obviously, is the passing of Joey Jordison, the ex-Slipknot drummer, who I had a pleasure of doing a small little stint, as he called it, when we met him in 2005 on the Subliminal Verses tour. We did about, I want to say 6 or 7 shows on that tour. And what was pretty cool is, obviously, for those of you who don't know the background of Gizmochi or whatever, Sean Clown from Slipknot had a big hand in signing Gizmochi to his subsidiary under Sanctuary Records. So he obviously helped us get on that tour with those guys. And, he and Joey, of course, at the time were close. And, Jimmy, the drummer from Gizmochi, obviously, in my opinion, is the highlight of the band. So Clown made it a point to show Joey the Gizmochi music and say, hey, look, you gotta hear this drummer. So the first show we did on the Subliminal Verses tour, I can't remember if it was Connecticut or if it was somewhere in the Northeast, because we did like that, we did like Illinois. I think we already went out all the way to Illinois and then kind of the Northeast. But so the first show we played, you have a dog?
Huh? Yeah, that's my dog's. That's Ollie. She's crazy.
I know, just joking. Sounds like a big dog.
She's 35 pounds, but sorry, go ahead.
So anyway, first show, we're hanging out backstage, and these were like I don't want to say arenas, but they were like the not the Continental Airlines arena was one, but it was half of the arena, so it wasn't like the full thing, so it was half of it. So the whole backstage area was like massive place. So anyway, we're hanging out backstage, me and Jimmy, and all of a sudden Joey arrives. He comes strolling in, goes right up to Jimmy. Hey, you the drummer from Gizmachi? And I'm just standing there like smiling. I'm like, it's weird that somebody that from a band that you look up to comes up to one of your band members to meet them as opposed to the other way around. So it's pretty cool. So next thing for the next few minutes, like, they're talking about, drums and gear and what pedals. I remember Joey asking Jimmy like what pedals he uses, all this stuff. And it was just really cool. Like I didn't really get to talk to Joey that much because drummers, when they meet each other, they talk to each other, and, I'm not the type of guy that's likes to get in and just, interject myself unless I have a reason to, so I watched those guys shoot the stuff for a few minutes, and he was super cool. I actually talked to Jimmy about it today to kind of, refresh my memory. And he was trying to find a picture of the two of them together, but he couldn't find it in time. So, but obviously I want to, we want to send our condolences and everything to, the family and friends and all that stuff. Cause he was a good dude. So, and a good drummer, obviously. So
absolutely.
Yeah. And I think, besides, I think Brian, how many times have you seen that band live with or since he was out?
I've seen Slipknot probably like 18 times.
Jesus.
And Joey was one of the first. Like, and I've explained my growth into metal, but back in '99, like the heaviest thing I listened to at that time was Korn. So hearing the first Slipknot album and Joey's drumming just blew me away. It was just the heaviest thing I've ever heard. And he's just amazing. And plus, like, Slipknot is very percussive. Obviously, they have two percussionists and the drummer. And but the stuff that Joey did is just amazing. And if you've never seen Joey drum, check it out. Go on YouTube, and there's some stuff that he's done is just mind-boggling. Like the intro to Eyeless, amazing. And definitely because of Slipknot, I grew into like I listen to some brutal stuff now. And it's because of them, and really because of Joey, and not only because of his drumming, but his songwriting was amazing.
Yeah, he was a big part of the songwriting.
Yeah, and he's a good guitarist. I think he wrote the main riff to "Sick," and he wrote him and Paul Gray were the two main songwriters of the first few Slipknot albums. And unfortunately, they're both gone. And yeah, and it's I have a Paul Gray tattoo there, and then on my forearm is Joey. So and some pumpkins because I love Halloween. But Joey there, Paul Gray and I have a Joey mask right on the wall right there, which I'll take down later. But huge influence on, obviously I don't know him personally, but musically, yeah, it's sad. It's sad to lose a talent.
Like I said, I was when I was talking to Jimmy today, I kind of reminded myself of the first time I heard Slipknot. I mean, obviously, the Korn thing and everything. Same producer, same studio. There are a lot of things, especially in the drumming, that kind of has that same, production sound, whatever, with the Ross Robinson thing. But I remember I was working nights at the time, 12-hour shifts at IBM. If Brendan Buttcheeks is watching, he'll remember that. And so I was working nights, and I was sleeping. I think it was, I worked like the previous 4 days or something, 4 nights in a row, and I was sleeping. And all of a sudden, my bedroom door gets barged in on, and it's Sean, the old singer from Gizmachi, and my friend John Hankey. And this was 1999. Probably, it might have been like the day the album came out or the day after or something like that, right? And I had never heard of them before. All of a sudden, waking me up, man. Like I said, I worked 4 days in a row, 12-hour shifts. I probably only slept for like 4 hours. And these guys, Jay, you got to listen to this. You got to hear this. I'm like, guys, I was pissed, right? So they barge in, put the CD in the CD player, and crank it. And the second, obviously, the whole thing I think is that intro starts. I'm like, all right, cool, guys, and then dun, 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 the whole thing starts, and I'm like, out of bed, get in the car, right to strawberries or coconuts, whatever it was at the time. Bought it right there after hearing like literally 30 seconds of it. I was out of bed, getting dressed, and off to get it day one. The day not day one, but first day I heard it, first second I heard it, literally. And it was the same type of thing. It was like, there's a handful of bands that get somebody's attention because of the drummer. And that's definitely one of the bands, obviously the riffs speak for themselves, the vocals, the melody, all that stuff is great. But I think the drumming in Slipknot is what put them to the next level of bands at that time. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Not only that, but there's 9 people in the band. It's like watching like the metal version of Kool and the Gang. It's there's just someone everywhere, which is great. But and we've talked before about the first time I listened to Slipknot, and it's a real shame on what happened with Joey, because I know there's probably a lot of music that's left out there that we haven't heard, or what stuff that he's working on. Like he was working on for the last couple of years a new Vimic album. So if people are not familiar, Vimic is what basically Scar the Martyr. So when Slipknot went on hiatus after All Hope Is Gone and before Point 5, the Gray Chapter, he created Scar the Martyr, which is a real cool band. They have one album. It's real good. And subsequently, as he was touring and promoting that's when he was fired from Slipknot. So was really sad, because when you purchase the Scar the Martyr album, you look in the book and he's wearing, Joey, like there's a picture of him and he's got the Slipknot S like necklace. I'm like, oh man, that's that's a shame.
Well, a little trivia about that. Like he, I don't know if anybody ever noticed, but like Joey owned like the Slipknot Tribal S.
Yep.
So when he got kicked out of the band, they no longer had, and I don't want to get into all that stuff, but I think it's just one of those kind of weird things, he owned that Tribal S. So once he was out of the band, they weren't allowed to use it anymore and stuff. But that's the one thing I hate about like, the entertainment industry with, when things happen and one guy gets out of a band, next thing you know, there's all these lawsuits, and it's kind of ugly considering, a lot of these guys like grew up together, were like friends before music started. And it's a shame to see, and that's not just with Slipknot, it's with any band that has to go through with something like that. It's a shame that can get in the way of such great relationships, prior, when none of this was that important,
Yeah, absolutely.
So, John ZD351 says, how do you guys rate Jay Weinberg? Amazing. He's a great drummer too.
Amazing. Absolutely filthy. And I'm really excited to hear what he's going to do on this next album, because 2 albums in, I think he knows his place now, and I think the band's pretty comfortable with his songwriting ability. So I really anticipate something pretty amazing on this next album. Plus, Slipknot's my favorite band, so I'm pumped. But I think he's a real good drummer. I think he's a great replacement for Joey, and he idolized Joey, so I think it was a nice transition. Absolutely, he's amazing, great drummer.
Thanks, Thrash Metal.
He's not talking about you. He's talking about Jay Weinberg. So.
No, he's talking about me.
I'm just joking. Yeah. But so getting back to Joey and Scar the Martyr. Jay, did you ever listen to that album?
I tried, but I'm weird. You know me. Like I'm kind of fickle when it comes to a lot of this stuff. Like I want to hear Joey play drums,
Yeah. You're not fickle at all.
So, and it's a lot about chemistry too. Like, I'm a fan of those first 3 Slipknot. Well, I know you love Iowa, but I'm a fan of like the first Slipknot record and the third one. Iowa, in my opinion, it's good, but I just feel it's like balls to the wall. and like I prefer the first one and volume 3 personally.
Agreed. I love volume 3 is my favorite Slipknot album, hands down. But Iowa is just, and I've said this before, Iowa is the top 3 metal albums of all time, just pure metal besides Vulgar and Justice for All. Hell yeah. Iowa is just brutal.
That's a bold statement.
Yeah, it's so good. It really is. And hitting the gym album to listen to.
Looking at them yoga pants.
So Scar the Martyr, everyone, if you have never checked it out, you want to hear some really good drumming from Joey prior to him having some issues. Song called Blood Host. Song's banging. Plus, he used 8-string guitars in it. Really good. So,
geez.
Yeah, definitely check it out. But it's not like Meshuggah-esque at all. So,
see, it's weird. I'm trying to think of, and this is a whole different topic now, but now you got me thinking.
All right.
I'm trying to think of any bands that I like that they use 8-string guitars. I can't think of any. Like Meshuggah, it was cool at first, and you know me, I love Meshuggah.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm kind of over them using 8 strings. I need more riffage as opposed to the single note, the single note slow riffs,
Right.
But I don't know. I just feel like every other band that tries to incorporate the 8-string thing ends up sounding like Meshuggah, whether intentional or not. It's almost like you can't help it. And now, I know Petrucci from Dream Theater, I guess he's they're going to have some 8-string stuff on their new album. And I'm like, why? Why? What are you doing? Right. I know part of it might be to sell guitars because, Petrucci, has his own signature guitar line.
And that's with Ernie Ball, right?
Yeah. And I had 2 of them and they wouldn't stay in tune worth a crap.
Did you send the email to John Petrucci, let him know that you're a little disappointed?
Well, I tagged him in a tweet. Damn right I did. And I have a buddy in the chat as well, who's I think he's gone through 6 Majesties, and they don't stay in tune.
Really?
So it's not just me. Yeah.
Who was it? The Chad?
Yeah. I hope he doesn't mind me throwing him under the bus here, but I could only yeah. Don't get one.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, I've owned 2 JP15s. Great, like as far as workmanship, quality, playability, sound, how it felt, everything about it was amazing. But the thing, they neither one of them would just stay in tune. And again, Chad's owned 6 or 7 of the Majesties, which are, it's a different guitar, but it has the same bridge / trem and tuners and everything. And he's gotten rid of every single one of them because they just don't stay in tune. I don't know if it's because we're spoiled with how Ibanez do not go out of tune. You can't get them to go out of tune if they're set up properly.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's part of it. But I mean, when you can't even when you have to worry about using the trem, and I'm not talking about gymnastics with the trem. I'm not talking Steve Vai. I'm just talking use it. And you have to worry about your guitar, your $3,000, $4,000 guitar going out of tune. Not cool,
Yeah.
So
no, absolutely. And how was the neck on that? Was it thin? Like, is it like a Universe?
Yeah, I watched an interview with his tech, and at least on the JP15 that I own, the 2 of them, the necks are very reminiscent of the original Universe necks because I guess Petrucci liked those. So they're pretty damn thin. They don't have the shoulders, so it's it felt, like I said, it felt phenomenal. The guitar felt great, played great, sounded great. It just still wouldn't stay in tune. So to me, it's not worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also Chris Bevan brings up a point. Metal Church, their singer Mike, I can't remember his last name right now. I apologize. He passed away last week too.
Right, Low.
Yeah, it's terrible, man.
Yeah, I believe he passed away. Well, yeah, last week. Yeah, you're right. It's sad. It's terrible. He took his own life, and it's a shame.
Yep. Anyway, what do we got here?
Oh, how? Yeah. All right. So I know last month we were going over top 80s albums, and I went off the rails a little bit. I was doing a lot of drugs, and I was talking a lot about like Michael Jackson. I was talking about Depeche Mode. So this month I'm making sure that we're going to stick to metal. So I have a pretty cool topic that I'm pretty excited for everyone to chime in about. We're going to talk about, how the like Metallica, Megadeth, Anthrax, Slayer, the big four. So tonight we're going to talk about the big five. So it's the top five, let's say thrash or just metal bands, especially from, the 80s, 90s era. There's a lot. You have Exodus, you have Testament, you have a bunch of bands that can be included. And I wanted to go over with Jay what you thought, give your top five. In descending order, go from five and just build up that anticipation, that money shot, at the end with the number one. So,
well, I mean, everybody knows what one is. You can't argue with it. But I mean, my top four.
No, five.
No, I know, but my big four is different than, this is because of me. It's not because of anything else. My big four, and then I'll add a five as soon as I'm done with it. But everybody's big four, or the official big four, I guess, is obviously Metallica, Megadeth, Anthrax, and Slayer, right? This is me, but I would, and I love Slayer. I do. But I replace Slayer with Testament. And I know I'll get a lot of flack for that. But that's just because Slayer was one of the first, besides like Anthrax and Metallica and Megadeth, it was Testament that I listened to back then. When I heard Practice What You Preach, I was like, whoa. And then I got the new Order right after that. And then Souls of Black. Trying to think what the order was. Maybe it wasn't. Maybe it was something else. But I mean, I loved Testament. I was like, this is like, it was awesome,
Right.
So I'd rather listen to Testament than Slayer. That's just me personally. Don't get me wrong. Slayer has more iconic metal songs.
Oh yeah.
But it's very hard for me to listen to a full Slayer album front to back because it is all just the whole time. And I need the ebb and flow of an album of music.
Sure.
To kind of get me, through an entire 45 minutes or 38, whatever the hell those things are. So that's my top four. And then if I was going to add a five on there, and you're going to love this, it's Pantera. Pantera took all that into the 90s and kind of kept it going, not slowing down for all the trends. And obviously they have an album called The Great Southern Trendkill. And they weren't worried about all the BS that was going on in the music industry and trying to fit what was happening. They did what they wanted to do. And, I mean, in 1994, in the heart of grunge music, it's Far Beyond Driven came out and went to number one. It's the heaviest album to ever go number one. Right. And that's in the heart of grunge. Like, to me, you can't mess with that, So Pantera is right there with those bands, kind of taking it to into the next decade, and beyond, obviously. But so Pantera is, in my opinion, one of the biggest, most important heavy metal bands of all time.
Agreed.
Yep. So, I mean, I remember when I got Great Southern Trendkill. It was groups of people, that I was going to school, that I went to school with, making fun and, metal and all this stuff. I'm like, kidding me? This is awesome.
That's true.
But I saw it. I mean, I was in high school when all this was going on with Nirvana and all that stuff. And I, don't get me wrong. I liked it. I loved Pearl Jam. You
don't love Pearl Jam. You love 10.
Yeah. 10. Yeah. And, and Versus is good as well. But so, and at the time, like at the, Gizmochi at the time, we were covering that stuff. We were covering Pearl Jam. We were covering Stone Temple Pilots. I think we dabbled with like Spoon Man from Soundgarden and stuff like that. So it's not like we weren't enjoying that stuff and playing it. Red Hot Chili Peppers, we used to cover some Chili Pepper songs, Primus and stuff like that, right?
Sure.
But no matter what, I was still, heavy metal J, man. I was still cranking the heavy stuff, man. And it was just weird at the time, because when you're that young, you don't really think of like trends going in and out, because you don't really, you look back and now you understand all that stuff. But at the time, you just think it's new music coming in and whatever.
Yep.
But it was just weird to have people all of a sudden think of heavy metal as like cheesy and you listen to the heavy metal. It was like a bad word. And I was like, what the hell's going on? Why is this happening? Yes, Candlebox. We covered some Candlebox, which was always fun to play. We weren't good enough to cover Alice in Chains, No, ain't nobody singing that stuff.
Serious question here. We have one from a person named Optimus Thrice. He'd like to know what your neck size is, Jay. Can we elaborate a little bit?
You tell me.
I think it was the Chad. He had his big four, or I thought it was like Whitesnake he had in there. Wait, Winger, White Lion, Warrant, and Whitesnake.
The 4 W's.
I like it. Definitely not my top 4, but I like it.
I love Winger. Whitesnake is awesome. I was never the biggest Warrant fan. White Lion, they're okay. Obviously, Vito Bratta is a great player. Had a lot of Eddie Van Halen influence, to say it lightly. But Winger and Whitesnake I can listen to all day. But the other 2 bands,
Sure.
Yeah.
So getting to actually, before I go into
let's hear yours, man.
No, I don't want to talk about it yet.
Oh,
let's just wait a second. When you were playing early shows with Gizmachi, and this is prior to you having a 7-string.
Oh yeah.
What were you playing?
We were playing mostly still originals, man. We had a 4-song EP out in 1996 or 5. 95. 94? Jimmy will probably remember. What was before him, so maybe he doesn't. But yeah, we played like Porch from Pearl Jam, Alien from Bush, which was always a good one. Like I said, we were playing, Candlebox. We did like Winona's Big Brown Beaver from Primus.
The song's great. Primus is awesome.
Oh yeah.
The guitarist is so underrated.
Yeah, he would throw in some weird stuff, just like, obviously he's not a shredder, but he was very unique in his style. And Larry Lalonde or something, or Larry Lalonde, whatever his name was. He was a cool player, man.
Cool player, really innovative. And I thought he did a great job with how different Les Claypool was, right?
Well, yeah, because when you have Les Claypool in that band as a guitar player and a 3-piece, you're a support instrument as opposed to the main instrument, because you got Les. And obviously, Herb as the drummer was great.
Filthy.
So he didn't, but he fit his spots how they needed to be fit.
Wayno thinks Primus is great.
Well, that's their thing. Primus sucks.
Yeah, I know.
They have the fans chant it, stuff like that. It's pretty funny.
Yep.
You know you're awesome when your fans chant that you suck. Like that's pretty cool.
Absolutely.
Yep.
No, what type of guitar were you playing?
I had my black RG 760 Ibanez, which I still want back. Damn it.
I thought you were getting that back.
So did I.
What happened?
No, there's no new developments. Is that a small can or are your hands really big? You got the Andre the Giant hand.
Well, this is how it is in like never mind. Yeah. No, it's the small can. Mini pop.
No, it's a 16-ounce can. What are you talking about, bro?
It's a 40-ounce.
Yep.
Speaking of that, and again, I'm going way off topic.
Well,
The
all right.
other-
Well, I'm gonna follow up your question about what are we playing Gizmachi. So
Okay.
I always wanted to get heavier and play heavier music because when I started playing guitar, I wanted to play Van Halen, Metallica, Megadeth, all that stuff, and I just knew that there was something fun about playing heavy riffs and power chords and palm muting and all that stuff. But even though our old drummer Anthony at the time was into heavy metal, he really didn't want to play that super heavy stuff. And then when we got Chris, the bass player, who's still in Gizmachi, he was more of like the funk guy. He loves metal, but same thing with him. Like he really didn't want to play heavy metal, like originals, But then once that 7-string got in my hands in 1997, it was like you couldn't hold it back. And then once some riffs started to come out, you just looked around and I saw how Chris was like, this is fun writing this stuff. And then we just progressively got heavier, from then on. And then, listen to Omega Collide. I mean, can you really get that much heavier without going into like speed metal or death metal or black metal? It's groovy as hell, man.
It is. It really is. So when you first purchased 7-string, you were way more into, at that time, more into Korn than you were into anything else.
Oh, right? Yeah. Korn and Korn and Korn.
Because Korn is tuned to A standard. Did you tune to A standard initially?
Nope.
So you were playing Korn riffs tuned to B.
Yeah, but I didn't really. It's still weird. Like we would mess around with Korn stuff, but we never, we might have covered like Blind or something. But I was already like writing my own stuff on it. And think of it this way too, dude. I had to play our other original music on that guitar as well. So if I would have dropped the whole thing, next thing you know, all the other songs get tuned down too. So I just left it standard, And
so your initial
right.
Gizmachi songs were written in E standard then?
And drop D.
And drop D.
E standard and drop D, yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. And then when Jimmy got in, you guys went to like country polka.
Yeah. Weird Al covers after that. But also, again, Jimmy, thankfully as well. I think without him being in the band, I don't know if we would have been able to get that because Jimmy obviously wanted to play heavy music.
Yep.
So I think it helped having him there too. Kind of like if I played a heavy riff, next thing you know, Jimmy's coming up with a cool drum beat for it, or vice versa. So that definitely helped.
Gotcha. I know, obviously, this is way off topic. How did you meet Jimmy initially?
I started playing with my best friend Anthony in Gizmachi, and this is before we were Gizmachi. He had a drum set, a white Tama drum set with. He didn't even have any a ride cymbal or a hi-hat. I don't even know if he had a crash cymbal. He had a metal fan that he used as the hi-hat, and then his wall in the basement as the ride cymbal. Cymbals were almost as expensive as his drum kit. So his parents were like, nope, you get the drum kit, but you got to wait for a Christmas or something for a cymbal or two, or whatever it was. What the hell would you ask again?
How'd you meet Jimmy?
Right. So anyway, I was playing with Anthony and my brother, who was in high school, he played drums and he was one of his fellow drummers. His name was Matt DeLuca. And he was a drum teacher. Great, right? Great drummer. So he was over one day hanging out with my brother. I'm like, maybe 16 years old or something like that. And I'm like, oh, Matt, I started a band with my best friend, blah, blah, blah. He's a drummer. And he goes, best friends and bands never work. He's like, I'll tell you something. He's like, I'm giving lessons right now to this young kid, Jimmy Hatcher. He's like, look out for him in a few years because he's going to be amazing. And Jimmy, Jimmy's 3 years younger than me. So he would have been like 13 at the time. And what's funny is when, a couple years later, obviously, when we had some issues with Anthony, one of our mutual friends, this dude, Kevin Green, was like, I'm friends with Jimmy Hatcher. And I was like, Jimmy Hatcher, wait a minute. I was like, I remember that name. Next thing you know, he set it up, and we went over this dude's mutual friend's house. Jimmy brought his kit. Me and Chris showed up and jammed with Jimmy. We played Rush. We played Dream Theater. Did we play Dream Theater? I don't know if we did or not. Obviously Metallica and stuff, and we just literally just hit it right off. And
King Diamond.
Yeah, Jimmy would have loved that. But no, I mean it was just I don't want to say a match made in heaven, but it just worked. And then like he learned some of the Gizmachi songs that we had. And nothing against Anthony, but Jimmy kind of took what we had and just kind of added more of a progressive sound to them with, more elaborate fills, cooler drum parts, which is hard to do when you're taking somebody else's music and somebody else's drum lines and kind of turning them into, something more unique and special. And you got the guys that wrote the music saying, whoa, how'd you even think of something like that? So that's a very cool thing when you can do. And he was, like I said, Jimmy was, I want to say probably about, what was he, 15 when he got in the band? And he was rocking it, man, already. So it's just funny. I mean, my brother's friend telling me about Jimmy, and then 3 years later, or 2 years later, I'm in a band with him. It was pretty cool. So,
yeah, absolutely.
And if it wasn't for Jimmy, obviously Gizmachi would have never went anywhere.
That's true.
I'll say that till I die.
Agreed.
Yeah.
If I think I said it once, but if I brought Brody in here and I asked him who is the most talented person I've ever met, he would tell you Jimmy Hatcher.
Yeah, I'll tell you the same thing. Yep.
Not only from drumming, but when I was a kid playing baseball, Jimmy was the best baseball player at our age, hands down.
Yep.
And then we were on the All-Star team together. He was the best player on the team. So,
right, let's stop with the gagging on Jimmy.
Yeah, no more.
I don't even think he's here anymore. He probably stopped in to say hi and then left.
I don't know why you talk about your neck size. That dude's got the biggest neck I've ever seen. It's like Corpse Grinder over here.
Well, now you can't even see it because he's got that huge beard.
It's true.
Yep.
It's true.
All right, so let's get into
No. Let's wait. How about you go do a little quick roll call, then we'll get into
roll call. All right. Since we got people chatting, we forgot the roll call. Everybody subscribe, all the roll call stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And we appreciate you watching on this. I don't want to say impromptu Wednesday, but rescheduled from last week. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Well, there's only a handful of people chatting right now. So everybody say something in the chat. Say what your first heavy metal band that you loved. Tell us in the chat what it is. The first heavy metal band you got into. And then we put some chapstick on in the meantime. Get all lubed up for you guys.
There we go. So we'll just give it a second as it's coming in.
Well, all right. While this is coming in, there is some news I want to just bring up real fast that I think is funny as hell.
Okay.
So, did you see that Metallica, Nothing Else Matters video on YouTube surpassed 1 billion views?
I know.
Now, when you think about that, now I know it's not a heavy metal song, but it's Metallica. If you would have asked anybody in that band, even in 1989, after Justice was out, even while they were recording the Black Album, I would say, if they ever thought, honestly, they'd be the biggest band in the world, there's no way. Like, no, we're heavy metal. Like, didn't Kirk Hammett, there's a story of Kirk Hammett, so one of his friends bet him, like, hey, they were listening to the Black Album before it came out or something in one of their cars or some crap. And one of Kirk's friends was like, this thing is going to sell X amount of records. And Kirk was like, no way. You're crazy, dude. He's like, we're still Metallica. Like, we're a heavy metal band. We're not going to sell that many. He's like, all right, well, if you do. And I think they were driving Kirk's like black, Corvette or something, or I forget what it is. Not Corvette. What's a
Camaro?
No. What's like a boxer?
A Porsche?
Yes. some black Porsche, I guess, that Kirk had that his friend loved, and he's like, "Give me your car. If you sell this many records by this date, I get your Porsche." And Kirk was like, "Fine." He had to give him the Porsche. Now, and it's still, I think it still sells like 5,000 physical copies a week, which is insane. And I think it's like one of the top 3 or top 5 selling albums of all time. I mean, it's, you know, I know people, you know, a lot of the hardcore Metallica fans, you know, say that, you know, Metallica was done by the Black Album and everything. It's still a heavy metal album, and it's still one of the top selling albums of all time. It's still crazy that is actually true, you know?
Agreed. I've said before, again, Metallica peaked at Justice. I'll argue that until the day I die.
Musically, yes, I agree.
Musically. But the Black Album, for what it did for, again, I'm gonna take it, our genre is amazing. And what they do right now with it is still amazing. So always got to have love for Metallica.
But you know what the Black Album did it really, when you think about it, like grunge came right in right after that, and kind of, you know, Metallica wasn't metal anymore 3 years later.
It's true.
You know, once Load came out, and I remember, man, when I, you know, seeing the haircuts and all that stuff, and I get it, you know, guys are getting older, they're starting to lose it on top. Nobody wants to be out on stage in their prime, you know, with their hair, you know, with a skullet, you know. So I understand all that, but then they got the makeup going, then Kirk with the flame tattoos and the piercings all of a sudden, you know, in the grand scheme of things, if I had never heard of Metallica and I heard Load, it's a great hard rock album. The songwriting is good. The sonics are good. It's a great produced record, but it's not Metallica in my opinion. You know,
no. I've said this before. Load and Reload should have been cut and made into one album and just take the hits off each, and it would have been a banger of an album.
Yeah, but I mean, if Metallica would have retired after the Black Album tour, you know, it just kind of sucks that, like, and I hate saying this because everybody knows Metallica is one of my favorite all-time bands, but
sure,
you know, if you take 83 to 91, Kill 'Em All to the Black Album, that's an 8-year time frame of when that band was great. That's it.
Filthy.
That's it.
Yeah.
You got it. And I'm not even I understand what Kill 'Em All did for music, but Kill 'Em All, out of those 5 records, Kill 'Em All, Lightning, Master, Justice, and Black Album, Kill 'Em All I listen to the least, hands down.
Yep. So,
and I think Metallica kind of turned into Metallica for Ride the Lightning. Like, they got, you know, more harmonies, and, you know, the progressive stuff kind of kicked in more. Whereas, you know, Kill 'Em All is very raw. And, you know, it's obviously the songs are great on it, you know, and Dave Mustaine had a lot to do with that too. But I don't know. It's just, it's kind of weird when you go from the Black Album to Load. It's like, this is the same band? Wait a minute. You know, yeah. It's not like they kind of changed a little bit. They just completely, you know, maybe they were worried, how do we top this? You know, maybe the ego got in the way. We could put out any kind of music we want now. You know, I'm sure that had something to do with Lars. You know, thinking that, we can just, you know, we can put any kind of album out. So.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I agree 100%. And I think everyone in the chat agrees. All 4,000 people here definitely agree with everything.
We got 53 on YouTube alone. So what are my thoughts on Hardwired to Self-Destruct? I'm going to toot my own horn here, even though it's probably stupid, and if nobody wants to believe it, they can't. If I produced Hardwired to Self-Destruct, it would be awesome. It would be the best Metallica album since the Black Album, and I'm not lying. Because I know when I listened to that album for the first time, I was like, why didn't they harmonize this? Why didn't they put a solo there? Why are they like, there's certain parts where I'm like, no. They don't do that. They really could have taken so much of that album and made it more like classic Metallica, and it wouldn't have been that hard either. I think they have the wrong producer in there, and I think, you know, no one is in there telling them no. Everyone's just yes, yes. Oh, you guys are great. Whatever you guys do. You know, you got Kirk Hammett not even working on solos. He's just coming in off the surfboard and like, oh, what do you guys have? Oh, okay. And he's just winging it. Like, to me, that's not really, you know, I don't know. I'm going to get crazy into this stuff.
Well, a couple things with that. Well, Kirk Hammett apparently wrote a bunch of stuff, right? And he saved it to his phone and lost his phone and lost everything he wrote. I love Kirk Hammett. I do. And people poo all over him with his wow pedal. I love Kirk Hammett. I think he's a great guitarist. Plus, I like him because he's huge into Halloween and the horror genre. Love him. But I kind of call BS on that. I call you didn't prepare really well to go into write the album. That's
well, again, after he came out and said that in an interview about it, you know, you're right with the phone. James Hetfield, literally a couple days later, somebody in an interview asked him, "Hey, well, Kirk, you know," and James pretty much said, "We weren't going to use any of that shit anyway. Like, me and Lars had everything worked out. Like, you know, we weren't going to use any of his riffs." Oh man, yeah, Death Magnetic thrash metal. I thought had some great moments, but you know, the mix was they brickwalled the mix, and then the mastering engineer, he took the blame for it, and he was like, "Wait a minute, it was brickwalled when I got it. I couldn't really do anything to it." Greg Fiddleman, you know, I hate calling people out on here.
Well, Fiddleman produced, produced, and I think he mixed the last out, right? He did both, right?
Yep.
I like it. I do. And I know people are not a fan of how it sounds. I think it's great.
Which one?
I do. I'm a big fan of Hardwired. I think it's a really good album.
That album hurts my ears, man. The snare, the drums hurt my ears. There's something about that sonically that if I have that album at a moderate level, it hurts my ears, man. Something in the drums.
Before I come back to that, I like Death Magnetic a lot too. I really do. Just from what they did on, what was it? Saint Anger, right? Mm-hmm. And then what Saint Anger to Death Magnetic. Saint Anger
dog shit.
Awful.
Yeah.
Awful. There are some cool riffs. There are some songs that, you know, I do like, you know, and I've listened to it. I'll listen. I'm a fan. Okay. No, I'm not. There's some songs I do like on it. But the snare on that album is just, it's terrible. But so Death Magnetic coming back with that album, I thought it was.
Yeah. Return kind of like, okay, they're trying at least, right?
Yeah.
They're at least trying to get that magic back. Yeah.
And same with Hardwired. I just thought it was just another step to being what Metallica really is and what they excel at. Because again, I'm not a huge fan of, like, I don't love Black Album. I don't like Load and Reload really at all. There's a couple songs I do. Getting back to more of the thrashy, the metal stuff as opposed to hard rock. That's Metallica. That's what they are to me. And I know that's what they are to you.
Well, there's that my issue with Hardwired to Self-Destruct is there's a lot of Load moments on that album too that I would have kind of, hey, let's get a little more metal on some of this stuff. You know, some of the drum beats I thought were kind of corny. Let me do a quick roll call and then we'll get back to it. So Absolute Mayhem, Blackjack Guitar, Boner Jams, Chris Bevan, Dave, Guitar Samurai 1, Jesus Repes Me, Johnny Beane, Kurt 5150. Kurt, what's up, my man? Mary Bosom, Brian's mom.
What's up, Mom?
Music Therapy Laz, Nightbot, Arhab, Sean Zimmerman, Simon Hosford, The Chad, thanks for watching. Thrash Metal and Fun Riffs, which, I mean, his name has to be in the chat for a show like this.
Metal's got to be there.
Yostinator, and anybody else who's watching on Facebook. I don't have that list of people. Sharon Wild Dollar. Thank you, everybody. Majestic PB&J Cat. I love saying that name. I can bring out my Illinois accent when I say that.
There you go.
And Tom, boners all around. Thanks, Tom.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I like the one name in the chat I'm a big fan of. There's a guy here simply known as Dave.
Dave, yep. Dave.
I like it. Dave, keeping it real, like Madonna, Jer, and Dave.
John ZD 351 is still here. Okay.
Yep.
Thanks
And
everybody for tuning in again. And I feel like I'm getting red. What is going on?
If you guys want to listen to a really cool Midwestern accent, just talk with my mom and dad. It's a lot of fun. Anyway, all right. Getting back to what I was going to talk about. Oh, Metallica.
Yep.
I don't remember what I was going to say.
Neither do I.
My question for you.
Okay, I'm listening.
You said if you produced it, you would change it. What else would you change besides the sound, like the mids of the drum? What else would you change? Do you know, like the guitar tone?
Songwriting.
The songwriting itself.
There's so many parts that they could have harmonized the same way they used to do, like with Justice and Master of Puppets and stuff like that, where there's just like, I'm listening to it and I'm like, why wouldn't you do that? It's like calling for it. That's why I'm saying they kind of need a producer to get them in that mindset of where they were in 86, 87, 88. And I honestly, this might sound to everybody watching might be like, Jay, you're an idiot. I don't care. I know what that band needs to do to sound like that again. And if I was then, I'd probably get fired 5 minutes in, or I'd probably turn into the yes man that everybody else is around. Oh, it's great. It's great. It's great. Don't worry about it. It's great. But when you watch like the studio footage from the Black album, recording that, like Bob Rock is giving those guys hell.
He is.
It's not good enough. Do it again. This isn't whatever, blah, blah. He's not letting them get away with it. No. And then when you watch the studio clips with Fiddleman, and again, I hate calling people out on here, but it's got to be said. He's just letting them get away with whatever they want. Oh, it's great. It's great. Yeah, it's great. Taking notes. Oh, it's great. Oh, there's no right here. It's great. Yeah, no, it's not. I understand these guys aren't in their 20s anymore. But, I think they want to sound like that again, or at least, have a lot of that come through again in their music. But they don't have the right people around them as far as people that are there helping them kind of put things together.
Okay. Let me ask you this then. I get what you're saying in regards to, so Fiddleman has produced the last 2 Slipknot albums as well. Mm-hmm. Is he okay for Slipknot, or do you don't think that just Fiddleman is just a quality producer?
Well, I don't know. I think Slipknot kind of, they still know who they are and what they have to do and what they need to sound like and what they do sound like.
Okay.
So in that sense, maybe just have somebody to kind of guide a little bit, like, okay, well, this and that. But I honestly think Metallica needs somebody to kind of mold it a little more and get them back to where they were, to sounding like people want them to sound like,
Right.
I think, for the most part, people are happy that they're playing, recording heavier stuff again. But like I said, they need somebody on their asses, So.
Agreed.
It's my opinion, and I'm sticking with it too.
So with what you want to hear from Metallica, because you want to hear it as a fan or as a producer?
A fan.
Okay. Well, that's if they don't want to write for fans. They just want to write for themselves.
That's fine. That's fine. But,
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Like there are so many parts. Like even when I hear, some of the riffs, when on the clips, like, they have from their last album, they have like each song, the making of,
Right.
Like even some of the riffs that James is coming up with, like I would like, oh, that one note, if he would have changed that, a half step down or something, it would have added a little more, like to it, instead of like these like for instance, Spit Out the Bone, right? The last song on the album.
That song is awesome.
It's awesome until it gets to the bridge. Then it's do that bass line comes in and then like that. I'm like, oh, they turned this badass song into like this happy, riding a horse type of thing. And I'm like, God, like that alone to me ruins the song, and I know they go into a harmony part, but they could have a couple little note changes in that whole last bridge section or the bridge on for some of those riffs. It would have made it so much cooler. And it annoys me because I love Metallica so much that I want them to get get back
Yeah.
to that.
Yeah.
That there's just certain things they do, and I'm like, oh God.
Yeah. I get it.
You know.
With getting back to Saint Anger, I don't know about you, but when I first listened to it, it was obviously there's no solos. It's really riff oriented. And at that time when that album came out, who was the biggest? They're not metal, but who was the biggest, I guess, metal band at that time?
2003.
It was like 02, 03. Yeah.
Oh God, dude.
Korn. It was Korn.
Yeah, probably.
So like I felt when I listened to Death Magnetic, it was, and I thought that Slayer did this as well, is that it was very riff like Korn. Like they tried to just write low end riffs, no solos, and just go that route. So that wasn't them. Let Korn do that and let Metallica be Metallica.
Well, that was you watch the clip on that because Kirk kind of has a fit when he's like, if you know, because I think that was another Lars idea. You know, he says in that clip when they're, you know, the some kind of monster DVD, he's like, you know, the idea of the guitar solo as it's been, you know, I think if we put guitar solos, it kind of ties this album to this time frame. And Kirk was like, whoa, that's bullshit. He was like, if you don't put guitar solos on this record, it ties it to this time period. And he was right. He was 100% right. You know?
Right.
Now, I don't know, again, looking back, I don't know if guitar solos would have helped anything on that album. It was a very disjointed album. You know, obviously the sound and, you know, just everything they did was just like what not to do on a production, on a record, you know.
Sure. The snare is just, it just destroys it. It really does.
It makes it unlistenable. Yep.
I get it. And if Lars wanted a song, one song, hey, like wouldn't change up and do it. Okay. It sounds like crap, but that's fine. It's one song. The whole album, like the first time I heard it, I thought Ashton Kutcher was going to come out of the closet. Like, you're punked. Like, it sounded like shit. It was terrible. Yeah. Sorry, Johnny, but it was. Well,
I think, I go back to Lars. I think a lot of it is him, you know, whether, you know, you think about it this way, man. You're in a band, you get to the mountaintop, you get to beyond the mountaintop, you get into the sky, you know, and the clouds of how big you are, that you couldn't even imagine being that large, that big and popular and everything. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of it is ego with like, just, you know, I'm going to, you know, anybody that says they only write for themselves, I think they're full of it. You still want to appease your fan base. Nobody wants to put an album out and have all their fans go, this sucks. What is this crap? Right. So, but I think Lars got to that point where he just thought they could do whatever they wanted to do or he wanted to do and get away with it. And, you know, obviously, you know, that album still sold more than you know, any of us could ever imagine. It's Absolutely. Still Metallica, but I mean, you know, it's weird when a band does something like that. You know.
Real quick, Robot Master Switch. He said something before. He said that Paul was spouting off the other day about how 7 strings are niche. Who is this? Is this Neanderthal? I gotta know, because if that's so, that I'm coming on. He and I are gonna have a chat. So,
well, I mean, I guess maybe meaning, you know, they're kind of when you see somebody playing a 7 string, you instantly probably think, well, he's probably a metal guy, you know? I mean, I remember when we got signed and stuff, and, you know, one of the reasons Ibanez endorsed us is because we were playing 7 strings, and they thought, because at that time, you know, obviously Korn, you know, kind of really brought him out after Vi, made him more popular, but by the mid 2000s, you know, playing a 7 string wasn't really considered that cool anymore, you know?
Right.
So that's one of the reasons why Ibanez endorsed us, thinking like, okay, well, here's a band that's going to be going on some pretty decent tours. They play 7 strings. Maybe it'll kind of help, you know, I'm sure we didn't, maybe we sold a couple of them, but you know, so for a time period there, they weren't really considered very cool, but I don't know. I mean, everybody's got their opinions, unless you're a metal guy, unless you're playing like jazz and stuff using that extended range on a 7, I get it, but
I don't know. It's just so many bands, even right now, use 7-string guitars. It's huge. One of the biggest metal bands right now is Trivium, and they use 7-string. They do a lot of different tunes.
I remember them busting our balls for using 7 strings on Ozfest, man. I don't want to hear. When I saw those guys were using 7 strings, I laughed my ass off.
Yeah. They have a new song out, playing 7-string. But we'll talk about Trivium, not tonight, but hopefully our next show we may have a guest who will go a little further about talking about Trivium. Should we tell everyone a little bit or no? Or
what are you talking about?
Our guest that we've been talking about for weeks to come on the show.
We have a guest
producer.
Oh, snap. Oh yeah. Well, right now, dude, come on. I've been out of it. Right now, he's penciled in. But he's definitely, I'm still talking to him. He's a friend of mine, so it's not like he's, somebody that I'm not going to be able to get a hold of. But yes, so we pretty much, it's pretty much definite that what is the date of the last Wednesday of the month?
It is 3 weeks from today, so it's the 25th.
25th. Okay, so August 25th, everybody, set your calendars because we are getting Josh Wilbur, Mr. Producer, Engineer, Mixer, on the show. He was actually going to come on with us last week. Thank God he didn't because the show had to be canceled. But he was on vacation last week, so he said he's going to remind him, and he'll come on the end of this month. Obviously, he's worked with Korn, Trivium, Gojira, Lamb of God. I mean, right now he's one of the big boppers in the metal world as far as producers. So
Killer Be Killed. There's so many bands. Soulfly. I can go on and on.
He recorded the first Gizmachi record.
The first Gizmachi album.
Yeah, but I've been friends with Josh since 2005. So he's cool enough to say he'll come on with us. So definitely set your alarms for that one. That's going to be a good one.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. I'm pumped. I've already been working on that show. I have so many things to ask him. It's going to be awesome. So, all right, let's get to my big.
Wait. All right, you talk about this for a second. I'm going to go use the bathroom.
Okay. So while Jay urinates, possibly uses the bidet, I'm going to get into real quick. I'm going to get into briefly until Jay gets back. I'm going to go over my big 5 of metal. Jay was saying that, the big 4, obviously Anthrax, Slayer, Metallica, Megadeth. I don't love Testament. I'm not a big Chuck Billy fan. I'm not. I think Alex Skolnick is the man though, but Chuck Billy, no thanks. I'm all set on you. No offense. I just don't love you. And Exodus is cool. I like Exodus more than I do like Testament, but I'm gonna go in descending order with the bands that from my big 5. So number 5 for me is Megadeth. I think the first 3 Megadeth albums are not that good. So in the chat,
Megadeth is 5.
Megadeth's 5 for me. 5. I don't.
It's so hot in this room right now, man. Damn,
dude. If I'm gonna pull up. Hold on one sec. I'm gonna get into Megadeth's first few albums. I don't think they're that good. I really don't. And I'm kind of curious. Obviously, first Megadeth album came out in '86, right?
No,
85. Killing is my business, and business is good. Yeah. That's their first album, right?
You're right. The first couple Megadeth albums sonically are not.
They're not that good. They're not. And also, too, at that time, so like 85, that first album came out. Peace Cells came out in 86. What else came out in 86? Master
Puppets.
Poos all over Peace Cells.
Oh, yeah. Master Puppets poos on almost every album.
What else? Rain and Blood.
Yeah. Yep.
And then from Anthrax, right around that time was what?
Oh, Spreading the Disease came out
Among the Living.
in 85. Well, in 80, yeah. So 85 to 87 was,
Right.
Yeah, I know.
So all those albums from Metallica.
Yeah, 5150, Johnny. There you go. Came out in 86. There you go.
No, but yeah, those three bands, Anthrax, Slayer, and Metallica, are way better than Megadeth at that time. At that time.
At that time, yes.
Right. P-Cells, but at the beginning of Last Rites off Killing Is My Business and Business Is Good, awesome song. Love to death. But anyway, I regress. P-Cells, so far so good. I thought Megadeth really started to do well with Rust in Peace. And that was 1990.
I know.
So I think for 6-8 years, Anthrax, Slayer, and Metallica outperformed Megadeth by a lot.
I can't argue with that. I mean, I'm with you, dude. And I know we're probably going to get crap, but you're right, man. Like when you listen to those first three Megadeth records, like they're hard, in my opinion. And this is coming from somebody, who's recorded some music, and I'm kind of a snob when it comes to production as far as the music that I like listening to. I find it, even if the music is awesome, if it doesn't sound good, I have a hard time listening to it. And I remember getting those early Megadeth records after I listened to Rust in Peace. And I was like, these sound like shit. Like I couldn't even listen to them when I was a kid. And I get it. I get that they're, as far as music and stuff and whatever, people love them, but I can't get into them because of the production, and Rust in Peace. You're right. They had all guns blazing on that one, man. That's arguably the greatest thrash metal album ever recorded is Rust in Peace. I would never argue that fact with somebody if they said that.
Yeah. Rust in Peace is great.
Yeah. It's a thrash masterpiece, man.
And then
a thrashterpiece.
Then Countdown to Extinction,
which is my favorite Megadeth record.
Fantastic. It really is. But it took Megadeth several albums to be good to me. Yeah. So that's why, to me, they're number 5.
All right. Well,
that's my number 5. And then in the chat, Robot Master Switch, your current rotation, you have Gojira, Meshuggah, Lamb of God, Bolt Thrower, Death. I'm going more old school here, but I can't argue with those. Those are good. But all right, so number 5, Megadeth. Number 4 for me, Anthrax. Love Anthrax. I do. I just think how I was looking at this list, not only is the quality of the music, the production, things like that, but I think Slayer is a bigger band than Anthrax. I think more people are into Slayer than they are into Anthrax, just in general. So that's why I put Slayer number 3. But I love Anthrax. I really do. I wasn't a huge fan of the last album that they put out. What is the Kings? Yeah. Yeah. But the album before that, hell yeah. I love that album. Now I can't even remember the album's name. Hold on. Worship Music.
Yeah.
I thought the album was great. But old school Anthrax, I just thought they were great. They brought a vibe to metal that wasn't there at that time. So when I was younger, I can close my eyes and picture Scotty in pre-baldness, running around the stage, just having a huge smile on his face, just loved what he did. I just thought Anthrax brought more of a party vibe and more of metal doesn't have to be super serious all the time. And that's something I really appreciated from Anthrax.
I mean, when you watch the there's 2 live videos of those guys that's funny as hell. I mean, the one on the I guess it probably would have been around 86, I think. So that would have been the Spreading the Disease tour. When they're playing this club, they all got the jams on, the colorful stuff. Yeah. And the crowd is literally on stage with them. And they're crowd surfing, they're jumping and they're going crazy, and it's just a big party, right? It's fun.
Mm-hmm.
And then again in 87 or 88, whenever they filmed for the Among the Living video, that nice effing video, it's kind of the same type of vibe, man. They got the shorts, the shirts, they're doing the I'm the Man thing with Joey playing drums and them rapping and stuff. And again, like you said, they brought a different vibe to heavy metal, and like you said, yeah, we play serious music, but we don't take ourselves that serious. We still have fun,
right?
And obviously, after Persistence of Time came out in 90 or 91. 90?
I think it was 91.
It kind of changed, but that's my favorite album from them. I can listen to Persistence of Time and just, man, I lose myself in that album. It is so goddamn good. So goddamn good. I love the fun stuff. Don't get me wrong. Among the Living, it's my second favorite Anthrax record. But there's something about Persistence, man, that just, when I hear that record, I get lost in it. It's great.
It is.
And it sucks that, like, literally, like after that album came out, things started going with Joey and stuff. But I was pissed when they kicked Joey out. I was fuming. I was like, these guys, I at that time I was literally listening to Van Halen, Metallica, Anthrax on like repeat all the time. Testament, that type of stuff. I had all those bands just like, and Anthrax was right up there. I was like, these guys are one of my favorite bands. And then they kicked Joey out, which I felt like kind of separated them in another way from all those other thrash bands with the raspy vocals, the aggressive stuff, where he had more of the, the higher thing going, but it made them unique in that way.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah. So number 4, Anthrax. Number 3, like I said, Slayer.
Mm-hmm.
Just because
it's Slayer.
It's Slayer. Rain and Blood, South of Heaven, Seasons of the Abyss.
Yeah.
Like, it's so good. And then you even go like earlier, like Hell Awaits.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think Slayer, to a degree, with the genre, kind of moved it. I think they were the leaders and the innovators initially, just because they were pretty, super heavy and they were getting the attention. And I think Metallica kind of had to really step up their game with Master, or I think Slayer would have been the thrash band at that time. That's just, again, it's just my opinion.
Yeah.
But also, like, Rain and Blood, amazing album, but it's no Master.
No, well, that's the thing is Slayer does one thing really, really well, better than anybody. Slayer does one thing better than anybody. But at that time, in Metallica's, in my opinion, their peak, they did everything better than anybody. So,
right.
And obviously, there's that rumor of like, John Bush was asked to join Metallica before, I guess, Hetfield really wanted to sing. And everyone's like, oh man, you missed it. Like, wait a minute. One of the reasons why Metallica is because of James Hetfield's voice.
Yep.
There's something special about his voice from Master through the Black Album that just made them more accessible and just better than anybody. It's a big part of it is his voice.
Yep. Yep. So Slayer, number 3. Number 2, Metallica.
Number 2, Metallica, huh?
Number 2 is Metallica. Again, we can go on all day about how amazing Metallica was until the Black Album, and Justice for All is amazing. It really is their peak. I could talk all day. I was listening to that album earlier today. It's phenomenal. Mm-hmm. And the number 1 band to me is Pantera. Pantera took what did Slayer do after 1990? Season of the Abyss. Nothing. What did Anthrax really do after Persistence of Time? Not much, right?
Yeah, I mean, you got Sound of White Noise, which I like that album a lot, but I just feel like it's
not their previous efforts.
No, not even close. And there are some people who do prefer Bush, but that's fine. But it didn't match what they did before that.
Nope. So And then Black Album is not metal. It's not. I'll argue that with everyone. It's
Yes,
hard rock.
it is. The Black Album is a metal album. Get out of here.
It's not.
It's not a thrash album. It's heavy metal, man.
It's a hard rock album.
No, the Black Album.
Johnny, put up this poll for me, please. Let me prove Jay wrong. Jane is pointing this wrong. Is Black Album a metal album or is it a hard rock album?
This is going to be easy. The Chad, don't you go nowhere. You better vote on this one.
Yeah. So as Johnny's putting that together for us, Pantera really took basically what those four bands created, and Exodus and Testament and all those. And Pantera alone flew the flag of metal from the early 90s until really, I think, kind of Korn took it. And like, I guess in the new metal, then we went from Korn, the Deftones, Limp Bizkit to right now, or I guess from the early 2000s, the Avenged Sevenfold, Lamb of God, Kill Switch, all those type of bands. All That Remains really took from there. So number one to me is Pantera. Plus Dimebag Darrell is my all-time favorite guitarist. I love Dime. I just think what he did, he's just, out of all those bands, to me, he's the best guitarist. He really is. He's super innovative, amazing guitarist, amazing riff writer, and God bless Pantera.
Well, I know we've joked about, who would you rather have as a guitar player, but Dimebag is one of those guitarists who was a jack of all trades. You didn't have to worry about. He's one of those guys that was a phenomenal rhythm player and a phenomenal lead player, and like you said, innovative in both areas. Like some of the riffs he wrote. I mean, you talk about the riff at the end of Hollow. That's what the first time I heard that when I bought that CD. Dun, 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 dun. I was like,
I'm going to play it right now.
It almost sounds like he's playing it on a fretless. He had such. You can't play it. You're going to get Johnny flagged.
Oh, I'm playing it.
Oh, well, you're going to owe Johnny some money then, because
I'm not going to play it.
It's literally one of the for at that time especially, playing a lot of the stuff and being unique. From at 92, playing a lot of these metal riffs. A lot of people hadn't heard anybody play like that before. And another thing is, like, when you hear Mouth for War, right? I was even listening to that now. That's standard tuned. That's a E standard guitar playing that riff. And you're like, that's too heavy to be. That sounds like it's dropped, right? It's got to be dropped. No, that's how heavy of a player Dimebag was. Whereas he could play something in E and have it sound like it's friggin' drop R and just, sounds like just so heavy. And again, his lead playing as well was very elasticy and he had a lot of vibe in his playing. It's a shame. It really is a shame. But he is, one of the all-time metal guitar players is Dimebag Darrell.
Absolutely.
Diamond Darrell Lance, if you go back to Cowboys from Hell. Diamond Darrell Lance.
I just love watching interviews now with Phil Anselmo. Phil Beach Anselmo. and how he just talks about Dime and Vinny, and just recently he was talking about his top 5 favorite Pantera songs, and the first one he was talking about was Becoming, and everyone loved the riff that Dime came up with. That was first, and then when Vinny Paul came in with the kick drum,
yep.
Dime stopped and looked at him, and then he's just like, "That's my brother," just like super proud of him. I don't know, like I love Dime. I do.
Dude, it has to be so cool. Like, my older brother, who obviously got me into rock and stuff, and he played drums, but I started playing guitar kind of when he was not playing drums anymore. So we never got that really opportunity to like play together and be in a band. But I could only imagine how guys like, Dime and Phil and Vinnie Paul, and then Eddie and Alex. Any kind of especially guitar and drums. When you're locked in with somebody, especially somebody you're brothers with, that's got to be the coolest feeling, man. And I that's one thing, with the great relationship my brother and I have, even to this day. It's a shame that we never kind of played at the same time. He had already, kind of given up on the drums thing and got more serious into school and a career.
And look where it got him.
Which I probably should have done as well, but I never did. But that has to be such a cool thing to with a sibling to be able to play music and play it at that level, and make a living doing it.
Yeah.
So,
well, Diamond Vinny were the metal version of Eddie and Alex.
Yeah, and they embraced it too. They always, flew that flag of hey, Eddie and Alex, man, that's it.
Yep.
You got to love that about them.
Johnny, are you in attendance still? Are you there? Okay. Well, maybe.
And again, everybody, thanks for tuning in tonight. It means a lot to us. And also August 25th, right?
August 25th, yes.
25th. Josh Wilbur will most likely be joining us.
And if you guys don't know Josh Wilbur, check him out. He's the producer right now in metal, besides Fiddleman and a couple others. Josh Wilbur's right there. So it's going to be awesome to have him on and to talk to him.
And Josh is very open with stuff too. He's not one of those, obviously he's not going to lift the veil too much, but he's a very great person to talk to because he has a lot of information, great personality, fun, funny. So it's definitely going to be a good one.
Yeah. I know you want to get Ellie to bed in a couple minutes, right? But there's one last thing I wanted to chat about tonight before you go away. The other night, I think it was the Saturday show, I believe, you guys were talking about nicknames for I think it was for girls, right? Or for women or for guys.
John BL talking about the meat. Was it meat or what?
Yeah.
Yeah, Johnny got him right at the right time.
That was crazy, man. Yeah, I remember that.
The thing, before we get into nicknames, because I have a couple that I just find amusing I wanted to share, but I love when the captain comes on because it's like having Dr. Claw from Inspector Gadget on, or a guy that's being interviewed about some some violent crime has transpired and he doesn't want to be identified because you can barely see him. He's just standing there, just black silhouette, him smiling. You can see his teeth. I love the captain. That dude cracks me up.
The captain.
So I had to say that because I think it was 2 a.m. I'm texting Jay. I'm like, I love this dude. He cracks me up. But there was a couple nicknames. I'm infamous for giving people nicknames, and I have 0 positive nicknames. They're all terrible. I feel bad for saying it, but I do. I feel like at times I have to share them with people, and I don't do it anymore. I'm 40 years old. I'm a grown man. I don't give nicknames anymore. Yeah, I do. Anyway,
yes, you do.
Yeah, I do. But there's the other night there's this one nickname that I had enjoyed and I wanted to share with everybody was there was when I was in college, there was this really, really attractive girl, and she was in my class. And I'm like, I'm single at the time. I'm 18 years old. I'm like, man, I'm gonna talk to this girl. So I could only see her head on, right? As if I'm looking at Jay and Johnny right now. Absolute smoke show. Just really, really attractive girl, woman, 18-year-old, right? So as I was about to go up to her and talk to her, she goes to the side. Her nose wouldn't end. It was like a straight beak.
Was she related to me?
She was. Her nose was just it was Pinocchio-esque, but she had some weird bump at the bridge too. That I couldn't gauge the weirdness from head on because. And then I just stopped.
Around the face, she had to duck. Whoa! He's trying to stab me, man.
It was like in what was the Matrix? As like she turns, I'm like moving slowly. Anyway, I didn't approach her any longer because I was mortified of all the oxygen just being penetrated into the nasal cavity. And so my friends in class like, yo, did you talk to that girl? I was like, Nostradamus over there? No, I didn't say a word to her.
Oh, that's right. I remember Nostradamus from the chat the other night. I remember you saying
so that was something I kind of feel bad, but also I thought it was pretty creative. So 18-year-old Brian was just laying out some good nicknames.
Ruthless.
And another one I want to
remember back then you could be picky. Now you have to like make excuses why you're like, well, back then it was like,
it's true.
My friends are gonna make fun of me, bro.
And another one I really enjoyed was this girl was super nice, and she had the biggest face and head. Like probably like a good third of her body was from neck up, right? So her face was like a dartboard. So we named her Face. So we're like, oh, here comes Face, and
damn,
yeah, it was pretty bad.
That sucks when you get some kind of nickname like that, especially when you're a girl. Dudes can bust dudes' balls all day, and it's no big deal. Like Johnny, remember when John BL mentioned Beef? Like if that's a dude's nickname, it's like, all right, he's probably a big dude. Maybe he plays on the football team. Beef. But when a girl comes walking into a party and everybody yells, "Beef's here!" Instantly guys that might think she's attractive might want to meet her. Like, wait a minute, why are they calling her Beef? It sucks. Beef.
That's a great one. But so in the chat, if anyone has some terrible nicknames they like to chime in that they've come up with throughout the years, definitely please chime in. And there's there's a bunch of guy nicknames, and I guess the last one I'll say, there was this one dude, all my friends will remember, he always talked about how big he was in the downstairs Bonanza region, right?
One of those guys, huh?
One of those guys, right? Just always talked about it. And so one day he was talking about how immense that he can't wrap his hand around it like that. like this, like the pop can.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so I was like, dude, like so I called him
your hand.
Serpent penis. So then now we didn't have to say his name anymore. We would just go, and then we knew who we were talking about. We called him Serpent. So it was pretty amusing. But
did the truth ever get unveiled?
Oh yeah, he was 2
He wasn't lying, huh?
No, he was tiny.
Oh, so of course, yeah,
of course. So I haven't seen it to confirm or deny, but no, it's just pretty amusing. Do you have any good nicknames, Jay?
I do, but it's not for tonight's show. Brian, are you home tomorrow or are you working?
I'm always working, bro.
Okay, because there might be something delivered to your house tomorrow.
Ooh, okay. Thank you. I hope it's my Jazz Master with new EMG pickup.
Oh, do you want to give everybody a heads up on your guitar that you ordered a year ago?
I've received a few cards, a couple of emails, text messages, talking about how they're thinking about me and my white Jazz Master that I ordered literally 12 months ago, and I still haven't played for more than 2 minutes. So a couple months ago, Johnny, you saw it. There was an issue with my pickup, right? Mm-hmm. Brought it to Guitar Center because they're a Fender. They work with Fender, and since it's covered obviously under warranty, it's a brand new guitar. I bring it into them. They're like, no problem. We're going to take care of this. There's no cost to you at all. We have this. I'm like, okay, great. That was the end of May. That was before Memorial Day weekend. So I've been following up, and I actually received a phone call yesterday, and they said that their hopefully in the next couple weeks they'll have the shipment coming in from Fender. And I'm like, why can't we just get them from EMG as the EMG pickups? They're like, under warranty, it has to come from Fender. EMG has to send it to them, and then they send it in, which is ridiculous. But so for almost 2.5 months, my guitar has just been sitting at Guitar Center, just waiting for me to play it.
Wow.
Yeah. But at least it's getting taken care of, right? I mean,
Thank God.
in the grand scheme of things,
Yeah.
you know, it's not like you don't have any other guitars there. So
No, I got a few. Yeah.
Yeah. You know.
But we know it. I mean, when you get a new guitar and you can't play it, it's like, duh.
We've known people like that like to throw fits.
I have someone coming in who wants to say hi to everyone before we end the show tonight. She's going to bed. It's Delaney.
Hi, Delaney.
Hey there.
Say hi to Delaney Page. You going to bed, honey?
Yeah.
All right, give me this. I'll come up. Okay.
Oh.
Love you, honey.
Oh, good night.
Good night.
Voluntarily going to bed. That's awesome.
Yeah. Pretty good. So, but I know, Jay, you needed to wrap up earlier tonight than normal, but we'll be back in a couple of weeks, guys. Don't worry. We'll be back soon. Yeah. Johnny, what are you wearing? Is that a scarf?
Yeah. Oh, this? Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
It's a mask thing. We're back in mask land.
yeah. I know, it stinks.
So this makes it easier than having to carry around one of those paper ones and take it off. This, at least I can just wear it all the time and wherever I go.
Do they bust your balls wearing those? Because I know a lot of places won't accept that, like a gaiter, if I may.
Oh,
Nobody's saying nothing to Johnny.
Not so far. Yeah, look at me. No one's gonna mess with me.
No, you got the winger shirt on. I'm like, oh,
You're impervious.
This is the logo. This is how I took the picture for the logo that we use.
I know, it's great.
But it's weird because I used a filter, so it looks like a gray shirt, but it's actually this.
wow.
Which is
Yeah,
black.
that the one in the picture looks like it's 20 years old.
Yeah,
Like tape.
I must have used some sort of retro filter when I did that. But yeah,
Concert T filter.
no, it's cool. It's all good.
Good. So,
Yeah.
I
So I
like
know,
it.
Jay, you got a split.
Yeah.
yeah. So, again, as always, thank you to our channel members. There's just way too many of you guys. We know we love you. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be here right now. Like Murphy over here, all day, all night. All you guys. If it wasn't for you, there'd be no boner gyms. There would be no pointy Jay Hannon. So
That's another thing too. Like usually guys can handle their nicknames, you know.
it's true.
Oh, but with a woman, everybody like, wait, why is that her nickname? Why is that her nickname?
It's true. But yeah, everyone tune in Friday night. Jay will be back with Mr. Beane. Talk a little bit about Van Halen. Or
If
a
you
lot
like
about
Van
Van
Halen, this is the channel, man. This is where you want to be.
Absolutely.
And we'll talk about some of the performances of Wolfgang Van Halen, WVH, Mammoth. So that tour has started, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's new news as far as that bass, which is something that we were talking about last week. There's a bass out there that looks like this. There's actually some official news about that. We'll talk about that Friday.
And then on Saturday nights, we have the host, John Bull, with the cast of characters every Saturday night. Starting, didn't you move the time, Johnny? You guys are going to be at 11 p.m., 8 Pacific?
Yeah, we're an hour earlier now because it's easier for the East Coasters. And if we want to go longer, we can, but it makes it easier.
Gotcha. And then on Sunday nights, we have the new show, and my dogs are barking at me. We have the Sunday night string change
Show.
And if you play your cards right, Jay will show a little skin on the next episode.
I'm surprised you can't see my nose hanging over the guitar. Johnny, do we have any guests this week with us, or is it just you and me?
I don't know. If thing is, if we know you, if we know you, you want to jump on with us and change strings on your guitar or talk shop, contact me.
Yeah.
And you can come on. Like we had Michael B on last Sunday, and it was great. We had a great time.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Music Therapy Laz was with us.
Yeah. And Laz as well.
Yep. Even if even if you've never changed strings on a guitar before, like maybe we can walk you through it. Like Mancuda said that he's never changed strings on a Floyd Rose before.
We talked about that. We talked about that last night, trying to convince him to come on.
Yeah.
To do that.
We could walk him through it, man. It wouldn't be that big of a deal.
So we have that going for you on Sundays. Then on Tuesdays we have the show with Mancuda, Neanderthal, Johnny.
Yep.
There we go. Talking
the channel is
metal.
stocked.
And then obviously the last Wednesday of the month, you have the best show of all. Metal Wednesday.
Of course, right? Of course. Yeah. Talking metal.
Of course. That's what you have here on the Johnny Beane Network. So thank you, everybody. It's always a pleasure. And it's one of my favorite times of the month. I could see one of my best friends and chat for a while. So Johnny, I really appreciate you. Jay, sorry. No, thanks guys. I love it. So thank you everyone in the chat. And I'll see everyone on Friday night. Right?
Yeah. All right. Good night, everybody.